There are moments in life when the universe whispers, "Be still, something is changing." September is one of those moments. This month will not end normally, not because the world outside is changing, but because something inside you is awakening. You may feel restless, you may feel uncertain. It's not chaos, it's transformation. When energy begins to shift, life starts to rearrange everything that no longer belongs to your path. And when that happens, the most powerful thing you can do is not resist. The question is not whether September will end differently. The question is, will you allow yourself to be different by the end of it? There comes a time in every person's journey when life no longer feels predictable. The patterns that once made sense begin to fall apart. The rhythm that once carried you with ease now feels uncertain and strange. This is not a coincidence. This is not chaos. This is the silent movement of the universe preparing you for transformation. The universe breaks patterns not to destroy you, but to awaken you. You see, comfort creates illusion. It builds the sense that things will always remain the same, that people will stay, that your plans will unfold exactly as you imagine, that stability is the measure of peace. But true peace is not born from stability. It is born from trust. And trust can only exist when you no longer control everything. When you look around and see things changing, it is not because life has lost its balance. It is because life is balancing itself in ways you cannot yet perceive. Every pattern that breaks carries a message. You have outgrown this version of yourself. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, knows when you have learned enough from your current chapter. It knows when comfort has turned into stagnation. It knows when what once protected you is now limiting your growth. So it begins to move things. Sometimes gently, sometimes violently, but always with purpose. You may feel that people are leaving your life. You may notice that certain situations no longer excite you. You may even find yourself questioning who you are and what you want. That confusion is sacred. It is not a mistake. It is the doorway to higher understanding. The reason most people fear change is because they believe it brings loss. But what if loss is not the truth? What if what you call loss is simply space being made for what is meant to come next? What if every ending is actually a cleansing, a clearing of energy that no longer resonates with your new vibration? In ancient Shaolin wisdom, it is said that the master learns not from repetition alone, but from disruption. When a student becomes too attached to a form, the master changes the form. He does not do this to confuse the student, but to free him, because the mind that clings to certainty cannot see beyond the limits of its own belief. The universe works in the same way. When you start believing that your safety lies in what is familiar, life will rearrange itself to remind you that true safety lies within your awareness, not your circumstances. You must learn to read the language of change. When the rhythm of your life shifts, do not panic. Listen. Something is being communicated. The universe does not speak in words, it speaks in movement. Delays, endings, unexpected turns, all are messages from a higher intelligence, guiding you toward alignment. Every event that disturbs your comfort carries within it the seed of awakening. The challenge is not to avoid these events, but to see them for what they are, invitations to expand. Imagine a tree that refuses to shed its leaves in autumn. It would soon wither under the weight of its own resistance. The tree understands that letting go is part of survival. It does not cling to its leaves because it trusts the cycle. The same law applies to your life. When something falls away, it is not because you have failed. It is because it has served its purpose. The person you were needed, that job, that relationship, that identity. But the person you are becoming does not. You are evolving, and evolution demands release. The moment you begin to see endings not as punishments but as recalibrations, your entire perception of life changes. You begin to understand that there is intelligence even in discomfort. That every time something leaves, You are being guided towards something purer, truer, and more aligned with your essence. Resistance creates suffering, but acceptance creates transformation. To resist is to say, I know better than life. To accept is to say, I trust that what I cannot see is still working for me. The reason this September feels different, the reason the days carry an unusual intensity, is because energy itself is shifting. The collective vibration of humanity is rising. Old systems, old ways of thinking, old emotional patterns, they cannot survive this elevation. And if you are sensitive, you will feel it deeply. You will feel your inner world being stirred, your priorities being rearranged, your attachments being tested. It is not an external war, it is an internal awakening. There is a quiet power in surrender. Many people mistake surrender for weakness, but it is one of the highest forms of strength. To surrender is not to give up, it is to give over. It is to recognize that you are part of a divine process that is far greater than your current understanding. The same intelligence that turns seeds into trees, that moves oceans, that births stars, is the same intelligence guiding your transformation. When you surrender to it, you move in harmony with life rather than in conflict with it. The breaking of patterns is often uncomfortable because the ego fears the unknown. The ego thrives on predictability. It feels safe when it can label, measure, and control. But the soul seeks expansion, not control, and the two are rarely comfortable together. When the universe begins to dismantle your patterns, it is the soul's voice becoming louder than the ego's fear. It is life reminding you that you are not meant to live within walls built by your own doubt. Sometimes, the universe has to close doors you were too afraid to close yourself. Sometimes it has to take away what you thought you needed, so you can discover what you truly need. These moments are painful only because they confront the illusion of permanence. But nothing in this world is meant to last forever. Only the awareness behind your experiences endures. When you remember that, the loss becomes lighter. You begin to trust that every shift is carrying you closer to authenticity. There is an ancient parable about a man who lost his horse. His neighbors came to console him, saying, "What bad luck." The man simply replied, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse returned with 2 wild horses. The neighbors said, "What good luck." The man again replied, "Maybe." Soon after, his son tried to ride one of the wild horses and broke his leg. Again, the neighbor said, "What bad luck." The man said, "Maybe." Weeks later, soldiers came to recruit all the young men for war. But because the son's leg was broken, he was spared. The story reminds us that we cannot see the full picture while we are inside it. What feels like loss today may reveal itself as a blessing tomorrow. The pattern must first break before its purpose becomes clear. The universe operates through balance. Every closing door leads to an opening you could not imagine. Every ending is paired with an invisible beginning. The only constant is change, and your peace lies in learning to flow with it. In Shaolin philosophy, there is a teaching: to move as water is to master life. Water does not resist obstacles, it moves around them, over them and through them. It finds its way not by force, but by flow. When you embody this wisdom, no change can disturb your center. You become like water, flexible, adaptable, unstoppable. You are not meant to be static. Life is movement, evolution, rhythm. Every time you cling to the old, you freeze the current of your growth. When you release, you return to motion. The breaking of patterns is simply the universe pushing you back into your natural state of flow. The discomfort you feel during this process is not a sign of something going wrong. It is the sign of something deep within you waking up. Think about how muscles grow. You train them by tearing the fibers so they can rebuild stronger. The same principle applies to consciousness. Each time life stretches you, each time your beliefs are challenged, your spiritual capacity expands. Pain is not the enemy. Resistance is. Pain refines you. Resistance imprisons you. When you stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, what is this teaching me? You move from victim to master. This is the secret the wise understand. Life will always break what is false in order to reveal what is true. The question is, are you willing to let it? Are you willing to let go of who you think you are so that you can meet who you are meant to be? Every broken plan, every unexpected turn, every ending that hurts is a piece of your awakening. When you see life through this lens, you stop fearing change. You begin to bow to it. Even nature shows us this truth daily. The caterpillar dissolves completely before becoming a butterfly. It does not resist the cocoon. It trusts the darkness.